first derby in Phoenix. New Dirty Bird. Here we are. TBF National Semifinals over in Wisconsin, Madison chain. I was the last guy in, so if we didn't get an observer, evidently I was out. But it sounds like everybody is accounted for. Taking off here in about 25 minutes. Cool, brisk September weekend after Labor Day. Reports are bite's been grimy. I got 1 day of practice. Looked around, snooped around. We're just gonna go fishing. Not a lot of pressure today. Second flight, doing it 3:15. Say hi to Eric. I don't know, what's at stake today? This is a 2-day tournament, bringing your best 5, 14-inch minimum. And the top guy from Wisconsin and the top guy from Minnesota go to the TBF Nationals. Plus some cash and prizes. Big fish pot. We're hopefully gonna lock the jig in our hand and catch 5 big ones today. The first tournament in the new boat, and I'm not even sure if it was ready, but we were gonna send it anyways. So after that last tournament, the state tournament in Wabasha, we traded in the Camus like 2 days afterwards. About a week later, we picked up this new Phoenix ZXL, but pretty bare bones. Had the trolling motor put on it, had a motor and engine, but it needed electronics, a lot of things. I spent Labor Day rigging. I've been taking a lot of time off work for these other tournaments, and so I only had 1 day of practice for the TBF National Semis in Madison, Wisconsin on the Madison chain. Not a huge body of water, but there's a lot of long, slow wake zones in this system, and I only had 1 day of practice. So I kind of had to commit to a game plan. We got in, we're in the early to mid-September, and things typically are starting to cool off. Fish are starting to move. Things are happening. A lot of times there's a shallow bite that starts to take off this time of year. One of my strengths is skipping jigs around boat docks. Usually in the fall, late summer, my strength collides with a decent opportunity. So I kind of set out my sights to think that was going to be the way I was going to fish this tournament. 2-day tournament, 5-fish tournament, and that's how I was going to roll the dice. There was only like 10 or so anglers in Minnesota, 30-some overall in the tournament. Obviously, you want to win every tournament, but in this tournament, being the top finisher from Minnesota sends you to the TBF National Championship. So I was willing to drive 4 hours for this tournament on limited practice and kind of lock a jig in my hand and go for it and kind of take that risk. So that was kind of the game plan. Watched my daughter play a soccer game Thursday night. It was awesome. They won, rolled out late, drove to Madison, stopped at a wayside rest stop, slept in the back of the Silverado in the topper, got kind of decked out back there, and got on the water pretty early. Made a pretty short drive in the morning. It was a super, super windy practice. Didn't record anything much at all first day of practice. Tried some deep stuff just to kind of keep it honest on the main lake in the Madison chain there. Like the first dock I went to, I caught I had 2 bites. I shook one off, and then the other one I couldn't shake off, and it was like a 3-pounder, and I was like, maybe this is something. So I spent the rest of the day kind of dobbing around shallow. Probably didn't cover as much water as I should have, but I sampled some stuff. I also got a couple bites late on a frog and punching, but they were really far from where I got those dock bites. Boat draw was kind of in the middle of this field, which was fine. I didn't have any place that I really wanted to go to. We definitely had a cold front coming in, one of the first major cold fronts of this kind of late summer, and that was obviously going to change things. But I did, in the practice day, got to test the boat, made a few tweaks, spent a lot of time playing with the new Explorer units, kind of get them dialed in, make sure everything was working, getting the settings. Overall, I thought the boat was ready to go, although I was still kind of getting used to it at this time. But everything was working on the Raptors, the trolling motor, the depth finders, all that good stuff. So we roll out, and I do try kind of a spot where there was some current inflow, thinking that could be a spot that I kind of looked at it in practice, but I didn't really fish it that hard. Spent some time there. My co-angler quickly catches a keeper smallmouth on a drop shot. And I kind of was out there looking around that deeper stuff out there and thought I saw a few fish, but couldn't really get him to eat. And then I kind of went shallow, and I think I caught a short fish. Maybe, I don't know. Looks a little short. Pretty quickly, and then I kind of ran back to where I, caught that good one in practice. So I got him. I don't think he's gonna make the team. Oh, let's see. Oop.
Oh yeah.
14 1/4, number 1. Look at that big dog. We'll get to weigh in. Pretty quickly, I get a keeper bite. Put one in the boat. Not a giant, not the 3-pounder, but I catch one. And so I fish these docks, and I think on this first stretch of docks, I ended up catching 2 keepers and a handful of shorts, and I'm using my jig, and I'm mixing in a Senko a little bit, and I'm trying to buzz bait and swim jigs around the docks, and a flappy frog and some other things, just trying to see if there's fish kind of scattered in the shallow grass, kind of roaming around. Probably a GPS, but that was about it, and crude mapping. There we go. Should be a keeper. Got a little smaller, but I'm pretty sure it'll keep. He bites and catch 2 keepers, and thinking I can scratch out a limit here and kind of run that main lake, the big lake there in Madison chain, I think Monona, and roll up on another area. And then I kind of get in a rut where I'm fishing, catch a few shorts, the bites are diminishing. I'm going to try other stretches in the lake. I do try like a bridge area that I caught some fish in practice, but that had kind of gotten pounded. You think we're the first ones to fish this today? And the wind was still blowing pretty good on that first day of the tournament. And just really wasn't happening. Just grinding it out. The third fish on day 1 was a crazy fish. I threw way back, and I had been doing this, like figuring there's other people fishing docks and seeing other people. I was trying to put my jig in places like way back, over lifts, under pontoons, gnarly places, thinking that there would be fish that haven't been pressured that I could get to bite. And may or may not get them all out, but if you don't get the bite, you don't catch them. And so late in the day, one of the last stretches we fished before heading back into the mud, throwing this pontoon and it gets heavy, and I see my line, like there was like this metal in there that formed like a sharp triangle, and I saw my line go to the right, and I tried to like pull, and it just like kind of had to lean into this fish, and he just went to the right into that metal and got around something, and it was just this whole mess. And I'm like in there, and the co-angler, we're trying to put the raptors down, got the nose of the Phoenix, new boat, we're right up in the dock, trying not to like slam the dock, get it scratched, get my boat wrecked. I'm hanging in there, and finally somehow that fish comes out or over or unwraps itself from the bar that's in there. I'm able to like basically get my tip of my rod in there and push it and pull it out of that line crevice and get it over, and somehow we get it in the net. And I wasn't going to boat flip it because I knew my line was in bad shape. Oh yeah. It was definitely my nicest fish that far of the day. Might have to retie that one.
Yeah, they're in your keep.
I mean, he isn't even hooked in the mouth, but like he was locked on there. Your glasses here. Yep. Thank you. Well, that was a goat rope, but that's the big one for the day. Swing through Mud Lake. And buoy. Kind of midday. There's some stuff that I didn't really fish in practice, but I thought it kind of looked good. And, the water was pretty clean in there, and the grass looked pretty decent, and they had some good mats, and I spent some time frogging and punching in there, and it never really got a bite. I saw some other boats in there, but without practicing, it was kind of a swing. Didn't really pan out, and kind of retreated back to Waubesa for the final, 90 minutes of the day. And the wind was gassing on the stuff that I kind of wanted to fish. There was another boat, another stretch I wanted to fish, and I kind of pulled in on another stretch kind of close to the ramp, and I think my co-angler catches a pike, and I don't know. I finally get another bite, and it's a short, but it's like, man, it's been a long time since I had a bass bite. And so I keep grinding it out. Really, there's not much option here. And I do finally get a bite, and it's like coming towards me, and I'm trying to catch up to it, and it kind of darts into a post and wraps me up and breaks me off. But it was definitely like a 3-pound plus fish. That definitely would have been the 4th keeper of the day. It was towards the end. And that was a disappointing finish to the day. But overall, the weights were tough. There was some guys that sacked them up, but a lot of people struggled in this tournament. So my 3 fish weighed 6, 7 pounds. I don't know, 6 pounds and change, I think. And you know, leading it was only like 11 for Minnesota. I think Eric Ritter had a limit for like 11 pounds. Obviously, that 3-pounder would have went a long ways. Probably would have gave me, you know, 9, 10 pounds, which would have been awesome. But that's the way fishing, you know, you kind of live and die by the sword, fishing shallow around heavy cover. You're not going to land every single one every time. And, you know, the line was good and it caught a sharp place on the dock and it was game over. My co-angler never got another keeper bite, I don't think, after that first one. He had a couple other bites maybe throughout the day, a couple shorts, some pike. But it was a long, tough day, and for a lot of people it was. So day 2, we regroup, we get retied at the campground, refuel. Then we go back out there, kind of doubling down on the same plan. Spend less time fishing out deep day 2, and kind of running some of the same stretches that were productive docks, running some new stretches. No. Biggin. First cast. Oh, this is my first Madison chain smallmouth right here. My first smallmouth in my new boat. Look how beautiful it is. 4-inch Senko. Spent a lot of time. I wanted to get back to Waubesa sooner and maybe get to Lower Mud Lake, but the way the day unfolded, that didn't really happen. And I was getting a good number of bites again on day 2. But the keepers were far and few between. I did get another keeper bite fairly early. Yeah, I can't say. I don't know if he's going to be a keeper or not. Another. Hooked in the bottom lip. I did lose a fish that I thought it might have been a keeper, but definitely wasn't like a game changer by any means. It was not like a 2-3 pounder. It would have just been another keeper, line burner probably. But the bites were up, and I kind of got on a little stretch where I got some bites on a frog and fishing shallow and a Senko, not docks, but like shallow wood grass stuff. And finally got one that fully hit it. Got some closes and had some decent bites, but never converted. But it kind of sucked me in on that and took up some of the time of the day. So day 2, we're bouncing around, a little less wind, trying different areas. So it was a bite. And, you know, we got one small fish, and I get in this new area that's kind of weedy and grassy, and it looks promising, and fishing the grass and the docks, and I have one that I bust off. I have one that I lose. I see the fish, it like comes up and eats my jig, and I go to set and somehow break it off. I don't know how that happened, but that was a good fish. It definitely would have helped. And then shortly on that same stretch, ready? Ugh. Should be a keeper.
I hope so.
I think so. Might be number 2. After I just broke off what would have surely been number 2. 14 and a half, man, this is King Kong. I caught my second fish. It was a decent fish. So I spent some time in that area. We threw some frogs, tried to go back through it, pick it apart, flip it, thinking if there was 2 fish right there, you know, there should have been another fish. Didn't really pan out. But that ended up eating a lot of time. So fishing back towards mud, trying a new stretch. I think my co caught a short, and I caught a short, and you know, we're fishing our way back towards the channel in slow wake, and kind of mixing in buzzbaits and frogs and things like that. And I throw my flappy frog, which has been good all year, right up on this like shoreline mat, super shallow, and bring it out the edge, and one just comes up and smokes it. The whole flappy frog showed up. Hook, get in the boat. It's like a 2-pounder, nice fish. So it gives me the 3rd fish of the day. We're running short on time. We get into Mud Lake, do that thing. You know, we don't have probably less time getting back to Waubesa to finish the day with these 3 fish and never muster another keeper bite. I don't remember if I got maybe another short. Co maybe catches the pike, but again, it's a 3-fish day effort. We weigh him in. It's not enough. I maybe had enough to catch Eric if he zeroed. Phone number? 21. Eric wins the boater
The
side.
face of confidence right now.
Buddy Bob,
Way to go, Bob.
There you go.
Back-to-back champion.
who I fished with as a co in Minnesota several times. He got to go for the co-angler. Had a really huge bag fishing
see
with
what, like, actual
Jason from Wisconsin, who had a big bag. They both came back and won that boat together. So Wisconsin, Jason won. Congratulations. And then Bob Beeman coming back on the co-angler side from Minnesota, which is awesome.
Brown and green.
Evidently they were fishing offshore stuff. Got on some bigger fish offshore, which is awesome. But overall the weights were pretty tough, and I'll try to throw those up on the screen or link them down in the description of what those weights were for this tournament. But we had a game plan. We went with it. We fished hard. We put the new boat to test, but it just really didn't pan out. Didn't really ever have the bites. Each day had one bite each day that I wish I would have had back, but it still wasn't enough. What do we change? Maybe spend more time in Waubesa, or maybe go the other way to lower mud and try, but with limited practice and how long it takes to get around that lake, it was just hard to do. And it wasn't an amazing story, but I got to do what I wanted to do. Locked a 3/8 ounce bass tag jig in my hand and fished it on my Dobbin 705 all day. Fished to strength. Just didn't generate the big enough and enough bites. If you want to watch the TBS semis where I caught them really good and had my shot to make the national championship, make sure you check out this video on the screen right here next.